Warning, this is a movie discussion, not a movie review. There are spoilers for days. So, Split is about this man with multiple personalities, played by James McAvoy. He has dissociative identity disorder, DID. Did. He's got did. And he kidnaps three teenage girls and holds them hostage. So I'm just going to start off by running down my list of what I like to call observations. Number one, I don't even know what to call him. Dennis. I'm going to just call him Dennis because Dennis is the sneaky bastard who initiated all of this shit. So when Dennis first kidnapped the girls, ain't nobody see this shit. You just gonna knock the dad out, steal a car full of girls in broad daylight in a full parking lot. A little risky, don't you think? I mean, I'm just saying that really could have blew his whole plan in the whole movie. Number two, when the girls wake up, I'm just glad that Claire and Marja, played by Haley Lou Richardson and Jessica Sula, respectively, they were like, we ain't about that victim life. We gonna have to beat his ass. But Casey, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, is like, no, we ain't about that MMA life either. We can't fight. Then she actually says, we don't know what this is yet. And you know what? She was right. She's a thinker, a strategist, a survivor. This was made clear very early on. Number three, the first time Dennis goes to his psychiatrist, Dr. Fletcher, played by Betty Buckley, something about their exchange just isn't quite right. You know, you get the feeling that Dr. Fletcher is going to get fucked up. Maybe not right now, but Dr. Fletcher ain't going to make it. He's asking her all these really strange and suspicious questions. Now, I don't think that he ever really planned to hurt her. I think he knew it might be necessary at some point. You can see he's trying to convince her of things that are going on. She knows too damn much. And overall, I like the scenes, the visits with her. They were really eerie, and I think they were foreshadowing something dark. And I thought they were very well done. Number four, speaking of Dr. Fletcher, she's really hyped and into this DID. She compares this condition to the supernatural, and she's saying that what these patients are really exhibiting are these extraordinary abilities, and they're able to tap into the unknown and unlock the potential of the brain, which is something that the average person can't do. So she wants to like teach her findings and but overall I think that her obsession with the I don't know, the research and the recognition of it all, or the possible recognition, I think it really clouded her judgment sometimes. I'll discuss that later. Number five, Dr. Fletcher gets suspicious of these emails that she's getting from Barry's email address. Barry is the personality she usually meets with, but he's not the original personality. That's Kevin. I'll get to that later. We later find out that you don't know who's sending the emails. One of Barry's many personalities. They should have got separate email addresses. Shit, they got separate video diaries. Why the fuck they just ain't reach out and in the emails and ask for help? I don't know. Number six. So Dennis' personalities. First of all, kudos to James McAvoy. Great acting, great switching between the personalities. Dennis tells the girls they're gonna be food. Fucking food. For what or who? Who the fuck knows? I don't know. And then the girls realize that Patricia and Hedwig are different people. And Hedwig is 9. So Casey doesn't waste any time trying to outsmart him. She's like, hey, Hedwig, get us the fuck out of here. But Hedwig is just kind of like, nah. And then there's a scuffle with Hedwig. And this is when you realize that Hedwig doesn't have the physical strength that Dennis has. He has the strength of a little boy. And this would have been when I realized that Hedwig was going to catch these motherfucking hands. Number 7. Why didn't Hedwig ever catch these motherfucking hands? Casey had a bat. A bat. Man, I would have fucked Hedwig up. Dennis might be strong, but he cannot survive severe head trauma. Number 8. Speaking of which, when you are trying to escape your captor, beat the entire shit out of him. in the head, in the nuts, whatever. There was another scene when Marcia hit Patricia with a chair once and just scurried off. And I'm sitting there like, girl, if you don't get back there and beat this old Tea Party having hoe ass before she turns into somebody else. Okay, Patricia still got nuts. I'd have beat Patricia's ass. Number 9. So Dennis think he's slick. When Dr. Fletcher tricks him into admitting that he's impersonating Barry in order to relieve her suspicions of the emails, I'm like, shit, there's so many levels to this DID. You've got personalities manipulating and impersonating other personalities. Deep shit, right? Dr. Fletcher senses something is wrong. She knows Dennis is a perv. Is Dennis' ass on a list somewhere? Dennis shouldn't be allowed within like 100 feet of a playground. I don't. Anyway, he finally trusts her enough to tell her there's a 24th personality, the Beast, who's like the Hulk strong and can climb smooth vertical surfaces. And he's the highest form of human evolution. And then Dr. Fletcher calls bullshit. Number 10. So, Dr. Fletcher is smart enough to finally go to Dennis. She's smart enough to peek around and find out what the fuck is going on. But dumb enough to open the door, see Claire lying there, and she just stands there? Like Dennis isn't down the hall? And I'm sitting there not even feeling bad for her. Like, you deserve whatever ass whooping you got coming. Bitch, I hope you get your ass whooped by all 23 of them motherfuckers. And then she tries to, like, talk to Dennis. You need some street smarts, Dr. Fletcher. That's why you ain't gonna make it. Number 11. Then in true Shyamalan fashion, shit gets weird. Dennis Barry, whoever, I don't know. I just call him 2 names. He goes to the train station. He transforms into the Beast, which I determine is a cross between Nightcrawler and the Terminator. And then the Beast goes back and starts eating Claire and Marcia. And, I was really hoping they'd escape, but they didn't have the survival skills that Claire had, which is why Hedwig said they were chosen in the first place, because they had always been protected and never suffered. And he said that made them impure. So, yeah, they end up taking L's. And Casey, on the other hand, well, she was never supposed to be with them in the first place when he kidnapped them. So things are a little different for her. So number 12, the Beast really is a fucking beast, okay? I mean, he really does climb walls and shit, and he's big and strong as fuck, and you can't just fight him. Like, you can't just beat his ass. And he puts this move on Dr. Fletcher. I'm going to just call it the anaconda. He squeezes her to death. And I feel like there's some symbolism there. Like, isn't that just a really intense hug? He really liked Dr. Fletcher. She believed him. She believed in him. Them. It was never part of his plan to kill her. At some point, he even compared her to the Beast. He said that the Beast thinks they're extraordinary just like she does. And I think he was just kind of waiting to see, how much she believed in whose team she was really on. And I just don't think that was ever really, he didn't want to kill her. Number 13, so Casey meets Kevin, and Kevin is the original personality that was abused by his mother. And he shows up, and he gets in the spotlight in the chair or whatever, and he's like, what the fuck is going on? Isn't it 2014? Oh, Kevin, I'm like, nah, bro. You are the real hostage. Poor thing doesn't know shit, but he's like, fuck it, kill me before I really fuck up some shit. And he directs Casey to his shotgun. Number 14. Casey, who conveniently knows her way around a shotgun, is not fucking around. Casey is quite the beast herself. And I guess the story kind of parallels her life growing up. As we learn in the flashbacks, as a kid, she had to fight a different beast. Her Chester the molester ass guardian uncle, who she ended up pulling a shotgun out on and was too afraid to take the shot. But she was also like 9. So now she ends up face to face with the Beast and a shotgun, and well, there's no hesitation. Number 15. It's funny that I called Casey a beast also, because the Beast sees that Casey has scars. She's a cutter, I believe, and from this he knows that she has felt pain and suffering, and he says, the broken are the more evolved. Rejoice. And he just leaves her alone to eventually be saved. And yeah, when I draw the parallels between those two, They were both abused. He's felt pain and suffering also. The Beast and Casey have both been shaped by past abuse. So in a way, it made both of them strong, right? He just chose to be evil. That's just my observation. So number 16. So all this time, these girls were being held hostage in a fucking zoo. It had been suggested by Dr. Fletcher, though you don't realize it at the time, that the zoo is where the whole conception of the beast came from. She told Dennis, he's formed because of your time in this place. Um, okay. He's basically a combination of the many animals in the zoo where he works. Maybe because that's been the most stable part of his life. That's just a guess. According to Dr. Fletcher, he's been there for a while. I'm not 100% sure why he turned into the beast. Um, so number 17, the beast escaped. And it appears as though Patricia, Dennis, and Hedwig have permanent rotation in the light. They are known as the Horde. Number 18, the reference to Mr. Glass at the very end is actually very important. So Mr. Glass is a character from Shyamalan's, I think it was 2001 movie, Unbreakable. And Mr. Glass was born with a rare bone disease that made his bones break really easily. And he'd been obsessed with comic books since he was a child, particularly villains. So Mr. Glass was convinced that superheroes were real. Basically, that comic book characters were just a commercialized version of some sort of reality, some sort of exaggerated stories of people with actual gifts and abilities. So when Dr. Fletcher is going on and on about how people with this DID possess this gift that's not attainable by the average person, it all ties back to Unbreakable, which I'm actually impressed with the tie-in there. And of course, there's a cameo by Mr. Glass's arch enemy, David Dunn, played by Bruce Willis, which has people talking about sequels. Let's see. Number 19 is just a question I never figured out. Why did the beast need to eat the girls? He said he chose them because they don't matter, okay? Because they'll never reach their full potential. They're impure because they've never suffered, okay? But I honestly don't know why he has to eat the impure. My guess, I don't know. I just thought maybe do the weak sustain the strong? Is this a literal representation of how the strong use and prey on the weak, and and literally use them for sustenance? I don't know. I'm not sure what message was there, but anyway, I'm gonna discuss a few likes and dislikes I had with this film. My first like, I was just glad the girls weren't screaming and crying and getting on my damn nerves the whole time. That's number one. Number two, everyone is always talking about the Shyamalan twist. There isn't even always a twist, so to speak. I don't think this movie really had a twist. You know, I guess you didn't really know if this beast was coming or not, but that's because you chose not to believe it. Dennis told your ass the beast was coming. So how do I feel about the beast though? Because some critics think it was idiotic and unrealistic. I didn't really have a problem with it. Going along with the concept that people with DID do have the capability to change physically and physiologically, with this disorder, personalities are often developed to meet specific needs as well as the changes in the body and all that stuff. So if you buy what the movie is selling you all along, then there's no reason not to accept that this beast is a probability. Number three, everything that I thought was good. The plot, the casting of Dennis and Casey were great. They both did an outstanding job. Everybody else was just kind of disposable. The pacing, I think Shyamalan gave you a lot in this story if you were paying attention, but it was just enough. Like every scene was necessary, gives you something, and then kind of moves forward. My dislikes. My first dislike is they were way off with Hedwig being 9. Hedwig acted like he was 4, 5 tops. Now, number two, I guess the other two girls were pretty much unevolved according to the beast, but they never really served a purpose. I mean, they could have been more involved, just, had a little more personality. Okay, they were food for whatever reason, but it seems like that was just an excuse, really, to get Casey there. Number three, if you think too deep into this, you'll start to worry about certain things that don't add up. Like, why didn't the other personalities just tell Dr. Fletcher in the emails? Number 4, I'm not 100% sure why Dennis was a perv. It didn't add to the plot. It had nothing to do with anything. Not his motives. Apparently not even Kevin's childhood. Um, I don't know. It just seemed unnecessary and weird. Like it was just used to scare the girls or the audience. Number 5, I would have loved to see more about Dennis's childhood. We got like 12 Casey flashbacks. And, by the second one, I'm like, okay, I get it. But you get about 3 seconds of a flashback for Dennis. He's the one with 24 personalities. I want to see what he went through. I don't know. Maybe there will be a sequel. So, I'm going to rate this movie a 7 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I think it's worth a matinee. I really liked it. That's all I really have to say about it. I mean, you either take it for what it is or you don't, but you can't judge it because you don't believe that there's negative, there's multiple personalities. And I mean, that's what the movie's about. So you take it for what it is, and I think it's very enjoyable. Please remember to subscribe and follow me on Twitter at MovieBuffChick1, and that is the number 1.